What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Truth and Basketball with Swipa and Coach George Karl. Man, we got another one lined up for you today. It is going to be an extra special episode. I already know we're recording this on October 27th, right after the Denver Nuggets beat the LA Lakers. So we got a lot to talk about. Coach Karl, what's going on with you?
Well, I love the NBA right now because we don't know anything. Nobody knows nothing right now because no one's playing great. And a lot of teams that we thought were going to play good aren't playing good. And a lot of teams that weren't expected are winning games. So it's pretty much fun.
Right. Well, Coach, we got a lot to get into, especially with the Western Conference, Jazz, Blazers. We got to talk about the Eastern Conference as well. But I want to hear your thoughts, Coach. We just saw the Denver Nuggets play against the LA Lakers last night. Do you have any initial thoughts and observations that you saw the Denver Nuggets get a 110-99 win versus the Lakers?
Well, I want to be a basketball, kind of a godlike basketball figure because the Lakers stink. And watching the game last night and waking up this morning, I came up with a great idea. I think how I can help both teams right now. I think the Denver Nuggets should call up the LA Lakers and present a package to trade for LeBron James. I think LeBron James is so unhappy and that team is in such a bad place that they're going to someday have to make a decision. Do they keep LeBron? And LeBron's not the best right now. I mean, he's plateaued. I'm not saying he's going downhill, but he's still damn good. But he might not be good enough to carry the junk that they got in that roster right now. And guess who has a good roster? Guess who might have too many players on their roster? As usual, that's what we usually do here in Denver. We overload the roster, don't figure out the roster, don't define the roles, don't define the responsibilities. And we go, well, we lost because of injuries, or we lost because of this, we lost because of that. So my proposal right now is call up the Lakers, give them Bones, give them Porter Jr., give them the kid from Arizona, give them a first round and a second round for LeBron.
So you think they should give up Aaron Gordon as well?
I'm okay with that too. I mean, I really like. I mean, LeBron would be playing where Aaron's playing, so and that's replaceable. But
so you would run a lineup with Jamal Murray, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Bruce Brown, with LeBron James, and with Nikola Jokic would be your ideal starting lineup.
That sounds good to me, and okay. I love the rookie. I absolutely love the rookie. The kid from Kansas is damn good. And I haven't seen that much maturity and toughness in a young kid in a long time. And I just know Bruce Brown and Braun and Caldwell Pope. I think they're going to play better than Michael Porter Jr. I'm going to be honest with you. I think in the end, they fit superstars better than Michael Porter fits Murray and Jokic. They know how to play off the ball. They know how to win games with little things. They know how to win with defense. And I like because they're tougher. They're more physical and they're more angry and they play with a little more heart than I think Porter Jr. does.
You think they play with more heart than Porter Jr.?
I do.
Why do you think that?
Well, it goes back to my mentality of physicality. I mean, my whole thing is the game is a game in many moments in the game. It's not about talent. It's about fight. And a lot of games are won because you're more competitive than the next guy. And I think Brown and they're both called Brown. I don't know. Braun doesn't look like a Brown to me, but it's Brown. But I just like them. I think they fit. And what's amazing to me is I think they fit with LeBron. Where LeBron is in his career, he needs a good defender with him.
Mm.
Well, that's why I'm not impressed. You're not that happy. I'm trying to solve the problems of both teams.
Yeah. So I think the thing is that I think if you're saying in functionality, having LeBron James, who's still a top 10 player, next to Nikola Jokic, who I think is a top 1 or 2 player right now currently in the league, with Jamal as he's continuing to get back, functionally, sure. I think there's a path where that could be a championship winning team. I think the issue comes down to, Coach, the Nuggets do not have the trade assets to be able to put on the table right now for them. And then 2, I think the biggest thing about MPJ is there's 2 sides to this. One of them is the Denver Nuggets would obviously on their end, be giving up a 24-year-old asset that they believe in, that the team believed in. And then the other side, because of his back injuries, the value that you would need perhaps to be able to pry LeBron away from LA or even to entice the trade, I don't think it's there right now because he's only played in 4 games so far. Now, granted, Coach, and I even disagree a little bit on Michael Porter Jr. He's actually looked excellent in his spots. He's actually been much better defensively. He's averaging 18, 6, and 1. He's shooting 50% from the field, 50% from 3 on 8 attempts a game.
Whoa.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You're saying someone looked good defensively on this team?
He's looked better. He has looked better this year. 1,000% he's looked better this season.
Oh, what? You're 30th in the league in points given up?
Not anymore. Not after last night. But again, Coach, the Golden State Warriors were 29th in the NBA in giving up points.
They don't look very good either.
But Coach, through 5 games, that's like is your takeaway?
That's all we got. We got to make a decision. We got to have an opinion on it.
Do you think that 30 games from now that both the Nuggets and the Warriors would be sitting at the bottom of the conference or bottom of the NBA in scoring, based on what you've seen so far?
I don't think Golden State will be. I'm betting on Denver right now. I thought in the 4 games they've covered the paint as bad as they've ever done. I mean, they're giving up layups. They're giving up transitional breaks. I know Malone's going to focus in on and says he's going to be a top 5 defensive team. That's not going to happen. I don't think they make it to the top 10. My bet they'll end up around 20 to 25.
Well, they've never finished that low with worse defensive personnel. So I guess my thing with that, Coach, would be they were 15th last year with a much worse defensive unit. They were 12th the year before, and they were 10th the year before. And then the subsequent injuries obviously aided to the fact that they dropped over the last 2 seasons. So I think, though, honestly, Coach, they're giving up the 6th least amount of drives per game. This is from Matt Moore from Action Network. They're giving the 6th amount of drives per game. They're giving up like 76, 78% at the rim right now. But again, they're also not giving up a lot of attempts at the rim. I think they're might be at bottom of the league in attempts at the rim. So they obviously have deficiencies there as well. But I think a lot of this is going to come to their communication hasn't been good. When you're on the court, even their connectivity, like even as Bruce Brown stated and KCP has stated, the communication hasn't always been there, and even some of the effort. So, Coach, personally, I think that they're trying to get adjusted to the personnel that are there, and I think it's taking them some time. But again, Coach, Memphis as of 4 games, but giving up 123.8 points a game. And then you had the Warriors at 124. Then you had the Nuggets at 125, well, 124.5. So for me, I think all 3 of those teams will get better as the season goes along. I just think it's been a shootout. Coach, I think you have like 10 players averaging over 30 points a game right now. 10.
Well, I know it's a small sample.
Right.
And I know fans, and I'm acting like a fan a little bit of overreacting. But we'll wait and see. The one thing I do like about Denver, I think they're playing with more pace.
Yeah, they are.
I think their passing is really, really well. I don't think their offense is gelled yet, and it will gel because they're so good there. I like the roster construction more than ever. But I think they have assets. The Lakers right now need players. They have 8 guys on that roster. I don't know who the hell they are. And I don't think they know who the hell they are. And I don't think they're going to shoot the ball any better than they are. I mean, they're going to shoot it better than 20%. But I don't think they're ever going to be a good shooting team.
You think? Oh, the Lakers?
The Lakers, yeah.
Well, I think the Lakers are cooked. I think they've been cooked since before the season started, Coach. For you, as a coach, did their roster, if you were to have inherited that roster, would that roster have made sense to you in the first place?
No. I mean, it doesn't have a roster of talent, and it doesn't have a roster of connection. It doesn't fit LeBron.
Right.
And then you got Anthony Davis, who still gets in the way too much for me. You know, he doesn't know how to open up the middle. He doesn't know how to be a role guy in the pick and roll game.
Right.
He wants to pick and pop and play that game all the time. No, I think the LA roster, if you could tell LA, I'm going to give you 4 starters or 4 guys who are going to play 30 minutes, because I don't know how they fix it. I don't know how LA fix it unless they trade LeBron or Anthony Davis. And,
yeah, I mean, Coach,
right now, I don't think anybody's taking Anthony Davis.
Blew it up. I just don't see a path for them being, as you said, any better than what they are. Coach, I'm not sure if you got a chance to see Jason Temp. He does a lot of content. He does some video, covers the NBA. He put a video out today of showing Anthony Davis and LeBron in transition defense. And you could see it yesterday with AD. But, Coach, Anthony Davis, miss or make, is stutter stepping at the rim, halfway jogging down the court, and Jokic is sprinting up and down the court. And he's getting body position. He's getting mismatches on guards and forward. Coach, I mean, I know Anthony Davis isn't healthy, but I don't think he's the same player. And I don't think – this is the thing, too. And you tell me if I'm crazy, Coach, because Lakers fans have been saying, well, all you need is AD and LeBron and good role players. But, Coach, LeBron is 37, going to be 38, and Anthony Davis has gotten worse since the bubble. I don't even think they, as a unit, with just those two, can get that job done anymore.
There's no question that Anthony Davis, but again, I don't think he has a market. I don't think anybody's going to buy that because of his injuries and his contract. And so the only way I think you save it now is LeBron. And I think Denver has enough assets to get LeBron. And I think cleaning out their roster is something they're going to have to do at the end of the season. And why not try to figure it out now and see if you get LeBron?
So, Coach, I think, you know, I would, like I said, in 2018, I remember when LeBron was looking at teams and they asked him about Denver, and he said he never really considered it. I thought that was crazy because at the time, Denver was loaded with young players, Jokic and Murray. They had just drafted Michael Porter, I believe. They had Gary Harris and Torrey Craig, Paul Millsap. I mean, they could have made a move for him, but he just didn't think the city was worth it. He wanted to be in LA, obviously, for business reasons and everything else. But, Coach, had he came to Denver then, I mean, they might be going on championship number 2 or 3 at this point in time because of the talent that he would have had available to him. But so I honestly, Coach, I think that ship might have sailed. I don't think that the Nuggets would want to gut their team for him. But I think on the other side, Coach, I don't think MPJ right now, until he has like maybe 5 months of great basketball, has a movable contract on the first year for them to be able to do that. And personally, Coach, again, everything I've heard about Michael Porter Jr., he is doing everything that he can. He's doing all the right things. Coach Malone said he's committing to playing defense. He just hasn't played a lot of basketball, so he makes mistakes at times. But, Coach, I mean, I love what MPJ is bringing. I mean, right now, when I look at the net rating for everybody on the roster, he's in a positive with everybody. And so, I think he's maybe been arguably their second best player. I mean, Bruce Brown's been excellent, Coach. I want to ask you about all the players here in a minute, but I think he might have I think he's been their second best player. He's been consistent. He's shown up. He had defensive stop versus Steph Curry in the fourth quarter, had another defensive stop versus Shai Gilgeous-Alexander next game. Like, he had some key three-pointers in these games as well. But like I said, you know, we'll find out. But, Coach, hold on. I want you to tell me this because Coach Michael Malone has never played rookies a lot, especially early in the season. Jokic didn't get a lot of playing time as a rookie, especially early. Jamal Murray or Bones Highland. Coach, what have you seen from Christian Braun that makes him stand out so much as a rookie?
He doesn't play. He doesn't play like a rookie. He plays tough. He's a totally no-nonsense basketball player. Fundamentally sound, loves defense, knows his role. You know, he knows he's not a top 3 or 4 player on this team, but he knows how to stay on the court by doing the little things that help you win basketball games. But I think the one thing is no nonsense. He plays the game hard. He plays it the right way. He's physical. Yeah, he looks like he's a strong kid, and he's not afraid to compete physically or mentally. He's just a different cat. I mean, I know he's a rookie. He'll probably have rookie moments.
Right.
But the way he plays right now, I'm going to go on record right now. I'll bet you $100 right now. Chris Brown is going to have a better career than Michael Porter Jr.
Is this with the asterisk because of injuries, or are you saying if they're fully healthy?
You gotta buy both packages. I mean, I'm not saying the injury thing won't come up again, but you gotta buy that if you're going to take Michael Porter Jr. I mean,
Coach, I think for the sake of the bet, I'll do it. I would absolutely take Michael Porter Jr. I think, again, his value is just sky high. But again, it's just been injuries. But I also think Christian Brown is great. So, I don't think there's anything wrong with him. But just even from a tool standpoint, I think Michael is just in another class. But, Coach, here's what I'll say. He's guarded Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole, Damian Lillard, Anthony Simon. He guarded LeBron yesterday. He even had to switch out on the AD at times. Coach, he guarded Shai Gilgeous the other night, Josh Giddey. He has been across the spectrum through 5 games. In your coaching history, is there any player that was that young that you were able to throw into a game and you could trust to be like a defensive stalwart like that?
The one guy that comes to mind is Bruce Bowen. I had Bruce Bowen at a young part of his career. We had him in a camp in Milwaukee. And he went up against Glenn Robinson and Ray Allen. And they couldn't score against him.
Right.
That's the one guy I remember early in Bruce Bowen before he got even in San Antonio.
Right.
We were thinking about signing him because he was a great defender.
So what is it about players like that, though? Because, again, I'm thinking of Herb Jones as well. Herb Jones coached last year, came out of the second round, and all of a sudden he looks like he could be potentially a first-team All-NBA guard as a rookie. And again, the measurables, 6'9", long arms, great instincts, blocking three-point shots, great help side defense. What do you think happens with players like Christian or Herb or even Bruce Bowen, where they're able as young players to step into high-quality situations and offer so much defensive value?
Well, another guy got put in that list is Anthony Davis.
Oh, yeah.
People forget that Anthony Davis was a great defender before he became a great offensive player. And you might want to put Gordon in there a little bit too, because Gordon was one of the best defensive college players I've ever seen play.
Right.
So there's some guys there that all of a sudden turn on the offense.
Right.
And we forget how good they were defensively. But you're right. I think Chris Brown is going to be really good for this team. And I think at the end of the season, he's going to be playing minutes.
Right. So, Coach, now that we're kind of getting into the team, can you give me your initial thoughts on how you think Bruce Brown and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope have fit in with the Denver Nuggets so far?
I've said from the very beginning, I think their pickup of putting veteran, tough-minded players and defensive-minded players on their roster was the best improvement of the Nugget organization in the last 4 years. The connection of this roster already is better than the roster they had all of last year.
Right.
Their ability to maneuver people around, playing small, playing big, playing 4 guards, all that has a defensive mindset to it, even though they have not played well defensively in my mind.
Right.
I mean, you're throwing stats out on me because,
right.
You might be saying, they might, like last night, they looked like a pretty good defensive team. Why? Because the Lakers couldn't make a damn shot.
Right.
I mean, the whole thing is they were laughing at him out there.
Right.
And so I think Chris and Bruce Bruce Brown is really, really very similar to Chris Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved him last year when he played 4 for the Nets.
Yeah.
He played a lot of pick and roll at 4 and was really, really good at it. And Malone has already done that a couple times this year. And so I think you're going to be able to maneuver him around and use him. And the Jones kid down in New Orleans is a bigger part of that personality than people give him credit for. So defense is coming back. I said 2 or 3 years ago that a balanced team is now necessary to win an NBA championship. You can't be good at offense and bad at defense. You got to be good at both. And even though they have not played well defensively, I'm hoping that Denver will become better defensively. But their rim protection is what scares me.
Right.
I mean, you say they're limiting that penetration. That seems like a stat.
Yeah.
Based upon personality of who they're playing.
Right.
I mean, I'm not studying the guys that are playing. But, Utah and Portland, who are not going to make the playoffs, in my mind.
You don't think Portland's making the playoffs? They're 4-1 already.
Well, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
Right.
I just don't think they are. They might. I'm hoping they have a surprise year. I love Chauncey. And I love the enthusiasm Utah's playing with right now. But I don't think they'll make the playoffs. But they handled Denver pretty well. It was not a fluke. Yeah,
they did score. They scored 44 points in the third quarter. And I think that Anthony Simons made 7 straight 3-pointers or something like that at one point. Yeah, which was unbelievable.
He went up. And don't get me wrong, but Denver tried to come back and win that game, and they didn't get it. I mean, Denver in the third and fourth quarter were trying to win that game, and it didn't happen. And I'm not sure the Portland game. I'm not sold on Portland or Utah.
Right.
But I worry about how teams that are playing hard and playing together and playing with energy and enthusiasm and have the ability to make shots gave both Denver problems.
Coach, we haven't even got a chance to talk since the Golden State Warriors game. But, Coach, they put out a lineup, I think, twice or 3 times, but twice so far this year prominently. They had Bruce Brown at point, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope at 2, Christian Brown at the 3, Aaron Gordon at the 4, and Jokic at the 5. Coach, that probably might be one of my favorite Malone-era lineups because you got 4 very good to switchable defenders on the court with Jokic, and Bruce Brown is very intelligent as a player. Coach, we haven't got this. I actually been waiting to talk to you about this.
I've said, but you're forgetting that.
Go ahead.
The Denver Nuggets have had a good matchup against Golden State 4 years ago.
Right.
4 years ago, they almost won 3 out of 4.
Mm-hmm.
Then 3 years ago, I think they won 2 out of 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then the year they lost to Portland, I thought they matched up with Golden State that year really, really well.
The KD year, the last KD year?
Yeah, the last KD year. And I just think for the last 2 or 3 years, the confidence the Denver Nuggets have against Golden State has been obvious, has been there.
Right.
And I think they rode that a little bit in that game. I think Golden State's experimenting a little bit with their roster, with who's going to play. Their bench hasn't got a rhythm. They miss Gary Payton Jr. a lot.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, James Wiseman is, he's young. They're trying to get him involved. He's like a minus 54 right now on the bench. They're playing Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, Dante DiVincenzo. They're even playing Patrick Baldwin, the rookie. So they're trying to do a lot of different things. And Jordan Poole. But, Coach, when I'm looking at the roster, when they played against them, by the way, Coach, Bruce Brown had 20 points and 5 assists versus the Warriors. He was 8 of 10 from the field, and he was attacking Steph Curry, attacking closeouts. He was hitting open 3. Yesterday, Coach, he was 4 of 6 from the 3-point line. He had 18, 5, and 4. I was already really high on Bruce Brown, but watching him and how smart and how aggressive he is and how he's such a good defensive playmaker, Coach, I honestly think that I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do, like, because they're gonna be able to offer him a new deal next year when he like has a player option. He provided it, and they can up with money. But coach, I'm telling you right now, I would love to see Bruce Brown next to Jokic for like the next like 3 to 4 years of his career. I think he's that good.
And I think Pope's pretty good too.
I love Pope.
I mean, Pope's a little bit below that in my mind. I think he's kind of at his ceiling, as where Brown I think has a little higher ceiling. But Pope, I think he's not a great defender every night. I think certain guys give him a little bit of trouble, but most nights he still give you a pretty damn good effort at that end of the court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and coach, and again, it's early season, but he's shooting over 50% from 3 too. So like he's been great getting to the corner, finding his spots. He's really good in the dribble handoff with Jokic in that mid range. So
he gets downhill really well.
Oh, really well. And he's fast. So it's like he's one of the best transition guards, I think, in the NBA thus far. Like he's really good at finding angles altogether. He's mild sprained his ankle yesterday on a layup, but hopefully he'll be back by either Friday versus the Jazz or Sunday versus the Lakers. But he's been really good. Coach, can you give me some insight? What do you see so far from Jamal Murray as he's played basically 4 games now through the early season?
I'm not unhappy with him. He's not. I think he's had moments where I think his body looks good.
Right.
I think his bounce looks good. I just think right now he's a little bit rusty. A little bit rusty with the feel of the game. Taking some bad shots at times. I've always wished he would be a better playmaker. That's not what he's working on right now. I think he's working on just getting back into a good feel. And the only negative thing I have about the Nuggets from the standpoint of how they played is Jokic every once in a while look like we lose him a little bit. In the Portland game, of course, there was foul trouble, but he's always learned how to navigate that. But he didn't navigate it well in that game. And I mean, I love Jokic. I think he's the foundation of who we are. And I need him to play like he played last night. A little more often than he probably the first 5 games.
Yeah, Coach, Jokic is probably one of the funniest players I've ever watched, like in my life, because Jokic versus the Warriors, I think he shot the ball 13 times. He was like 7 of 13, but he shot 11 free throws. He made all 11 of his free throws. He had 26, 12, and 10. And just absolutely obliterated the Warriors. And then he comes out last night versus Anthony Davis. And, Anthony Davis, is he better than Jokic? Is he this and that? And Jokic is like, all right, well, 31, 13, and 9. He shoots 12 of 13 from within the arc. And then again, 7 of 7 from the free throw line. And he's just 4 steals, coach. Like he's dominant. I think Jokic, when I look at him sometimes, I can tell he is frustrated with everybody else not being able to be where he is, like mentally sometimes. Like the team not knowing, like just bad shot selections at time, the defense, people aren't rotating well. There's just certain things I think that get to him. And I think some of it, coach, he played in Eurobasket and then he played in the World Cup qualifier as well. So I think that like he's been trying to get his teammates involved, but it went too far against Portland because they had 61 points at the half. He had 4 points and everybody was doing well. So I don't think he felt the need to turn it up. And then he got his 4th foul, I think like with 10 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. And then it was like a tidal wave of threes after that. So I think he's going to be a lot better. I think he's going to play well versus the Jazz. And then they got the Lakers again on Sunday, coach. So I actually think they can hopefully put together a little bit of a win streak. They're just going to have to do a better job containing the Jazz on the 3-point line this next game.
Well, I think their roster is pretty comfortable for almost all the way through mid-December.
Yeah.
They have a lot of winnable games. They don't have to play their A game all the time to win a lot of these games. And I think that's good because I think a lot of what's going on in basketball now is the exhibition season has gotten to be so sloppy that we're really in exhibition season right now.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And
so, coach, with that for you then, coach, in your experience, how long does it take like a team, especially a team that has like contending or championship aspirations? In your experience, how long does it take a team to really start to get like meshed and like playing real competing basketball into a season?
My belief is all these guys are used to college basketball. So about, I'd say 30 games. I think 20 to 30 games is where they're getting fine-tuned and they're getting more precision and execution-oriented, knowing each other a little bit better along the way. So I'm saying I don't think anybody's going to make a major trade until after Thanksgiving.
Right.
They want to look at their roster right now, at least through Thanksgiving and maybe even through Christmas, before they're going to say, "Hey, we're done here. We got to move on."
Right. Yeah, and I think with the Nuggets too, I've been trying to communicate with people. I think for Jamal, it's going to take him probably 10 to 15 games to get accustomed with the speed of the NBA again, which is something he said he struggled with. But like I said, I think 30 to 35 games, really until the end of December, really until January, you're not going to start seeing Jamal play consistent Jamal Murray level basketball until then, because again, it just, when you come through a major injury like that, it's not the physical part. It's just like almost relearning the game, like the nuances, like even the two-man game with Jokic, like he hasn't been as smooth at times. He was better yesterday, but it's just decision-making, making entry passes, getting from one spot to the next, rotating on defense, stuff like that. It just takes time. And sometimes fans, coach, are a little I think if they haven't played sports before, they get a little frustrated with Jamal at times because they're like, why aren't you getting it faster? But it just takes time, coach.
I think Jamal needs to get more easy baskets.
Yeah.
And, right now he knows he's got to make shots to score points. And I mean, the back cuts and the layups and the handoffs that Jokic got him in the past, I'd like to see a little bit more of that. I mean, Jokic seems like he's got a great connection with Gordon. And I think actually Bones plays pretty well with Jokic too.
He does. Coach, so would you, if you were trying to get Jamal readjusted, would you have him playing off ball more, or would you like him to be on ball?
I think you got to help both of them.
Okay.
I think it's probably more effective now off ball, where he's got to make a quick read rather than a one-on-one move.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's still very rusty and maybe a little bit lacking confidence in his explosion and his ability to move with the ball. Now off the ball, I think he's still always going to have a knack that a lot of guys don't have. And he's not gotten hot yet. He's not had. He had the one game where he broke out early and made a couple shots, but he cooled off. So he's got to have that game where he goes 10 for 15 or something like that, and his confidence will go up a tick.
Right. Well, Coach, as we're kind of surveying. We talked about it briefly, but surveying the NBA. Are there any teams outside the Nuggets that have impressed you so far through the first 5 games of the season?
The only team that's really impressed me is Boston.
Yeah.
I didn't see their last game where they got beat by Chicago, but Boston has a balance to their game right now.
Right.
And whatever happened between, the two big stars out there, they're both really playing at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually like Brown as much as everybody. Everybody else loves the Dookie. But I actually think the Brown kid is really both ends of the court guy. Tough-minded, no-nonsense type of guy.
Right.
And I think Brogdon's going to help him. And the guy that's really playing well for him is Grant Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And Grant Williams, I'm going to tell you, he's one of my favorite players right now. He's a winning basketball player that knows how to defend really, really well, can cover anybody on the court. But he's making the three. He's a pretty damn good passer. And he can play a lot of different positions. Right.
Yeah, Coach, I think that Boston looks really good right now. I like their chemistry. People are really saying after the Ime Udoka situation that they were going to fall off. I never bought into falling out of the top 3-ish teams. They're just so talented, but they've been playing together literally since 2017. And then, Tatum got there in 2017. Brown got there in 2016. They're just used to playing together. And then Horford, Robert Williams will be back hopefully soon as well. Grant's great. Brogdon's great. Marcus Smart. they just have a lot of quality, like championship level players on the roster. So I'm really excited for them.
And they got other guys too. You know, White can win a game.
Derek White. Yep.
I mean, Horford can win a game for you.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of different ways of figuring out how to.
Coach, can you imagine if Danilo Gallinari was healthy playing for them right now?
That would be an amazing thing because they shoot the ball well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the one thing that stood out is, and that's why it magnifies how bad the Lakers are. If you can't shoot in this league,
right,
you can't play.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't shoot, you can play with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, like Utah. I mean, does anyone
that's exactly what they're doing.
And now Utah's shooting the hell out of the ball. And I think Cleveland's another team that's going to come on with their shooting.
Yeah, Cleveland's 3-1 right now as well. And Donovan Mitchell looks really good with that roster. And it's funny, Evan Mobley hadn't even really figured out like his own skill set yet, but he's already like so good. I'm actually really excited how he continues to develop as a player. Coach, I got to ask you this. You know, the Philadelphia 76ers, they're sitting basically at the bottom of the conference at 1-4. Embiid's played, Harden's played. They got PJ Tucker. They got Tyrese Maxey. Do you have any thoughts? Like, what's going on with them? Like, how are they 1-4 so far?
They're the worst transition defensive team in the NBA. I don't know what the stats say, but Embiid and Harden, and I'm going to have to put their other guards because their guards do not get back, and Embiid doesn't get back. And so right now, people are just running behind. And they're playing. Philly's not playing with a high pace, I don't think. And everybody else is playing at a high, like San Antonio just ran right by him.
Right.
And I think that I'm going to tell you, I don't know if this is true. I picked them to get to the finals. I'm off them right now. I think
wow.
And I think it's because I don't think James Harden can win 50 games with him playing point guard in the NBA. I think James Harden has got to go.
Do you think that's because of his usage or his play style?
Well, probably because the other guy playing with him is better than he is. I mean, the whole thing comes down to is they have a problem right now. They got a young kid in Maxey that is really good. And Harden is holding them back right now. And that's going to be hard to manage. I remember when we had Ty Lawson and Chauncey Billups.
I remember.
And we talked about how are we going to manage when Ty gets a little bit better than Chauncey. That's a tough one. Players don't like to be demoted.
Right. Well, and I think the thing is, Coach, James Harden's actually playing really well. Like from a number standpoint, at least, he's playing like at a very high level. I mean, really, his Brooklyn Nets year, and even until towards the end of his Houston Rockets era, Embiid has just not been good defensively. I think that's probably been one of the biggest things people are surprised by is that he hasn't been the defensive anchor or the shot blocker or the rim protector that you would know him to be. So the team as a whole is just seemingly not clicking yet.
He's moping out there, man.
You think he's moping?
Oh, his body language drives me a little crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is with him. I don't know. I don't know if it's a personality thing, a character thing. I don't think it's a character. I don't know. I just don't think that I don't know what it is. I mean, Embiid has all the talent in the world, but he's just, for whatever reason, not yet able to put it all together from a leadership standpoint. But we'll see. Do you have any thoughts?
Both Harden and Embiid, I don't think make other guys better. So I thought Harden in Brooklyn did.
Okay.
The Harden I see now, I see more. He wants to score numbers,
right? More
than facilitate, and he's going back to that pound game that I can't stand.
Well, Coach, do you have any thoughts on the Suns right now? Do you think that they're going to still be good this year? They're 3-1 right now.
I don't think they played that well. I saw Portland beat them badly one night, But then they came back and I think they played Dallas Saturday night.
Yeah, they were down by like 22 points and come back and won.
I think Phoenix will be around, but I'm not sure they're as good as they were last year. They have some negative energy going on. Chris Paul is kind of going down a little bit.
Right.
Their center is kind of playing mopey a little bit. You know, he wants more of a role, more of a responsibility. Booker is playing great. Booker's playing big time. But there's a personality change going on that team right now.
Right. Well, then lastly, Coach, Giannis Antetokounmpo had 44, 14, and 3 last night versus the Nets. Granted, it's the Nets. They don't have a great defense at all, But, yeah, Coach, I don't know, man. Like, for me personally, I think that Giannis and Jokic are probably the two best players that I would have in the league right now. I think the way they're able to control the game, pace, just the level of impact they have. Do you think there's anybody else that you would put in that conversation, Steph Curry or anybody else, or do you think that it might be those two right now?
I think Giannis is just a little bit ahead of Jokic because he's a defensive-minded guy.
Right.
I think you're right with Jokic. I don't think people understand how good Jokic is even now. I think if you told Jokic to go get 50, he could go get 50. That's how good he is. He's offensively. But he doesn't want to do that. That's not who he is. But Giannis right now, of all the guys, the two guys I think now are MVP candidates, and after 5 games, which is crazy, is Jamal Murray.
Yeah, he's going crazy. Yeah, John's going crazy.
and I think Giannis is kind of on a mission to get back to being the MVP and leading Milwaukee to another championship. That's the way I look at it right now.
Right. Yeah, I'm really excited. I think Giannis has been great. Ja Morant's been spectacular, like 36 points per game, 35 points per game. He's getting to the rim at will. Now, Coach, you like defense. He don't play not a lick of defense, but his rim pressure is great.
Just remember, Memphis has a lot of guys that are sitting on the bench.
Oh, yeah, Jaren Jackson Jr. is not there yet.
And they have the young Williams kid, too, who's not bad either. They have 2 guys that could play 30 minutes for him every night that aren't playing. And they're still playing at a high level.
Right. Yeah, I think Josh going to be good. I'm curious to see where Memphis ends up this year. Any thoughts so far on the Clippers before we wrap up? Like, do you think they look good? Are you impressed by anything yet?
I don't even want to watch them. I'm load management in the first week of the damn season. That is bullshit. That is bullshit, man. You got load management. You had the whole summer off. Okay, we got load management in the first week of the season. I'm off of them. Analytics have won. They can have them.
Well, the rumor was, Coach, that Kawhi wanted to play. It's just that the team just said no. Like, we're not risking it. We want to make sure that – because he had some stiffness in his knee, apparently, is what they said. But, who knows?
Guess what? That stiffness comes June is going to be there.
Right, exactly.
I want to see them. I want to see the team that's going to do load management in the playoffs.
Right. Well, Coach, this has been excellent. We have a lot of stuff we talked about today. We talked LeBron to the Nuggets. We talked the Western Conference. We talked MVP stuff. We talked about Jamal Murray, Christian Brown, maybe in the same stratosphere as Bruce Bowen eventually. Not yet. Maybe eventually. But the Denver Nuggets got a lot of great things going on. The NBA is popping, y'all. Make sure y'all subscribe, y'all like. Tell your friends, tell your family, Truth and Basketball with Swipa and Coach George Karl.